Just waiting for Facebook. Facebook. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video. Hope I don't have any tech issues. Starting off on a negative anyway. Hopefully this will record at least on Facebook and record YouTube, preferably both. Anyway, as ever, I'd love to know what you think, and for once I don't have a cup of tea with me because I'm waiting for it to brew. So I thought while I wait for it to brew, I'll make this video behind schedule. So I guess I'll get on with it, but I'll try and make it as quick as possible and get to the point. And on that note, these are pointers number 11 to 20. Just had my shower. It's already 20 past midnight here, so I'm hoping at least part 3, if not part 4, done as well tonight, or technically before I go to sleep. But yeah, technically it's a Tuesday now. But anyway, talking about getting to the point, here goes. So number 11, I would love to. I didn't do my usual intro, like, hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, and welcome to part 2 of whatever this is. But anyway, I hope to find out about and celebrate, talk about black entrepreneurs, CEOs, MDs, CFOs, and whatnot, entrepreneurs, chairmen, chairwomen, and black people in banking, black in medical, in medicine, and different areas to empower them. And I mean, if people don't give you a job and give you opportunities, I guess you can create your own by networking together. And maybe if they work together, they can make life easier for each other. I also talked about how I'd love for them to build robots for black people, maybe Native Americans, Native people from across Americas, perhaps, if they can, and neurodivergent people to build robots that make life easier for themselves and others. As I say, I'm going to try and get to the point as quick as possible for various reasons. One, because I don't want the videos to be too long normally if I can help it, which I normally fail at. Secondly, because I want to, because I'm way behind schedule. And thirdly, because I want to go and get my tea before it gets cold, hopefully. But anyway, yeah, done a list there. But I'd also love to find out about and celebrate black inventors, ideas people, and that kind of thing, investors and whatnot. And again, maybe investing, running businesses, networking together, and things like that are the way to go forward. I talked about tech hubs and like kind of business and tech hubs and all that kind of stuff, and innovation. And I mean, it's hard to know who came up with an invention because people steal each other's inventions. Just like when they say history is his story, it's written by the victor, so it's told from the point of view of mainly white males historically, I guess, who had the power. But yeah, I just saw something as well on YouTube, unfortunately, which said that, and I think there's quite a few reports on this, like saying that especially black women, I think, are facing an employment crisis in America. And again, maybe investing, running their own businesses and things like that are the way to go ahead. I mean, some people say about like, why do black people have their own networks and investment opportunities and funds and things like that, and they might say that's reverse racism reverse, or whatever, or positive discrimination, or whatever they want to call it. But if you're not given opportunities, just like people with from Native American backgrounds and neurodiverse backgrounds, like dyslexia, if people are not giving us opportunities, maybe we need to find our own. As ever, I'd love to know whether you agree with me or what you think or whatever. I mean, I suppose to be fair, if white people did make a network for white people, it would be unfair to say, oh, we P.O.C should be able to, but not them, I guess. But I do believe P.O.C should be allies to each other, including the black community. And I also talk about like not joining militaries and things like that. But yeah, I hope to celebrate inventors and look at what they can invent and how they can create robotics to change the world, hopefully for the better. But yeah, historical inventors, and look at what they can do in the future and how they can learn to invest and network together, build their own investment platforms and that kind of thing, and work together globally, maybe members of the black community as well as Native people from across the Americas, and also neurodivergent people. Moving on, number 12, I'd love to encourage people to mentor. Think about things that begin with M. I know I'm behind schedule, technically it's a Tuesday now, but people in the future wouldn't know, or now they will know, as I said it. But to encourage like mentors and things like that. I'd love to see who could be some mentors, role models, and motivational figures. I think Motivational Mondays, role models, mentors, all that kind of thing. My silly patterns like Mr. M or Mr. M. Mr. M.M. or whatever, Mr. Double M, whatever. Talking about getting to point, sorry. But yeah, I talked about the hubs and all that kind of thing. And they could feature. I said about like that they could feature mentorship opportunities, networking opportunities, investment opportunities, funding opportunities, where to get funding from, and things like that. I'd love to know what you think about such potential for such business hubs, business and mentoring hubs, and STEM hubs, educational and teaching and training hubs and centres and whatnot. What do you think they could do, and what do you think they should do, and that kind of thing. Number 13, making and creating scary movies. I know there is a scary movie which is founded by well, we hear that helicopter in the background. Pretty sure that's a helicopter or a light plane, whatever. Anyway, but a low-flying plane or helicopter. Anyway, I know Scary Movie was made by, I think it was the YN brothers, African Americans, who made Scary. I know it's African Americans. I'm pretty sure it was the YN brothers. Obviously, there's people like Spike Lee and people like that. But I hope to think of like, because I think of 13 as like a scary number, so and a negative number in a way. But they could turn it to a positive by making scary movies, and I mean like creepy movies, horror movies, thrillers, and that kind of thing. Also, from a selfish point of view, I pretty much always say, like, I know I wore my AC Milan cap in the last one, and now I'm wearing my Inter Milan cap. But yeah, it's because I support Italian soccer generally, and an unfair bias, perhaps, because you could, in other words, it will be undeserved, which I mentioned in part one. I'm referring a lot to part one, and what I've talked about in the past as well. But trying to think of different things to cover, but I probably should have just made my tea first, because now I'm trying to rush to make sure I drink before it gets cold. But yeah, I mentioned like about in religion they say grace or something is an undeserved gift or something like that. Or God blessed Israel or somewhere not because they were the most righteous or something like that. So yeah, it would be an unfair bias, given that Italian can be very racist, prejudiced, and all that kind of thing. But I'd love to tackle those sort of things in football, in Italian football, to make it less prejudiced and less violent. So instead, focus on winning mentality, a positive winning mentality, PWA or whatever attitude. Those, yeah, PWM, positive winning mentality, something like that. Anyway, and I've heard of like P.M.A. or something, positive mental attitude or whatever, something like that. Anyway, but when I was involved in coaching, yeah, I love to go to Italy and share my strategies, but and also work with neurodivergent people and travel together to talk about, specifically in my case, I wouldn't really care about going to visit sites or anything else, just like coaching my strategies about football as a neurodivergent person. And I don't see Italian teams, especially AC Milan, I don't want Inter Milan cap, but because I'm a supporter of Italian soccer more generally, but even Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, all the Italian teams to have their own academies and sports clubs, which I talked about before, for native people from across Americas. And improving relations with black people and Italians through soccer. Again, it would be an unfair bias. But moving on, anyway. Number 14, problem solving is one I normally think of for point number 14. So I forgot to say issues facing the black community, or how they can tackle those issues. Again, similar for Native Americans and neurodivergent people. And I put Black Mondays in the title, mainly referring to the black community in this case. A play on the words, like when they say Black Mondays, but yeah, thinking of those other groups as well. Number 15, I love sport. I talked about like supporting black people with their ambitions, as well as Native Americans and neurodivergent people, and I was thinking of like things like, I thought the black market could be, normally that's a term for something which is negative, like illegal trade and that kind of thing. But I think that maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think a lot of time when people think of things that are dark and negative, as they say, like dark, black, and things like that. So I think in history, as again I talked about like history, his story, and how it was written by mostly white male, as far as I'm aware, and I guess they used terms like black market and like blackmail and things like to mean a negative thing to do with black people, male and female, I guess. But like saying about black people being savage and things like that. And I guess that's where like black market, black money, and things like that came from. But I thought, what if you turn it into a positive, like by saying, perhaps I should have waited for point number 28 and 31 because of my patterns. Maybe I'll mention them again in those points if I'm when I remember. But yeah, to talk about like how black people can market their products and sell them and that kind of thing. The black market, the list and directory of black-owned businesses. Blacklisted could be about black-owned businesses and that kind of thing, for instance, as well. Whereas they could be Native listed, Native American listed, Aboriginal listed, NeuroDIVERGENT listed, and that kind of thing. Number 16. I think I probably mentioned it in the intro, and I've mentioned it in the past, but I'd love to know what you would do to support and empower black people, Native Americans, NeuroDIVERGENT people, and so-called P.O.C. people of colour, minorities, and whatnot, and what are your views on minorities, migrants, and whatnot, migrants and refugees? As I normally say, like freedom of speech, freedom of expression. So please don't feel free. Please do feel free, and please don't feel afraid to type up a contrarian viewpoint. Although I know people might not want to post up their honest thoughts online, and they might be censored or whatever, could get in trouble. But I try and accept all opinions, including those I disagree with. And I think even when people like hate on black people, for instance, I think they should use that as motivation to say, like, people say we're savage or we're criminal, we're savage, criminal, or whatever. But they could say, like, we don't join militaries, we don't go into wars, we don't join militaries, gangs, terrorism, or we don't join wars. And I feel a bit hypocritical saying this one, but we dress up smart and we're running businesses and we're doing well, show what we can achieve and to challenge stereotypes. But again, I'd love to know what you think. Number 17, hopefully they'll use their imagination to make more stories and things like that, and to achieve things. Could you imagine more black people in business and banking and my ideas making a positive influence, making a positive difference? Do you think there's something more constructive I could do, or whatever? And yeah, more black chairmen and chairwomen, and maybe even young black boys and girls learning about business. I thought the song "Still Dre" by Dre Dr. Dre, it says Dre Dr. Still Dre, with featuring Snoop Dogg, who said he was going to invest in Celtic. And I'd love for rappers like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre to invest in Celtic. But the point I was going to make is, what if they, and I think that had like over a billion views, on 500 million or something, on something like that anyway, on, I know it's just over a billion or whatever, on YouTube, and the official channel, and even other versions of that song or people uploading it. So just that official song has had like over a billion. I don't know how much money they would make from that specific thing, because you don't make a huge amount of money on YouTube, but for that many views you probably make a fair amount. I've heard it's about $7 for every 1,000 views, so that would be about $7 million or something like that. But yeah, what if they donated like at least 10% or whatever they felt comfortable donating from that song? Because in that song it says, I still love it to see young blacks making money. Some of the lyrics I might disagree with, like hating police or whatever, and maybe that's not the best, being the best role model. But I think, what if they donated to black-owned businesses from that song? As I said, still like to see young blacks making money. Another thing I think of, like black money makers, like they say, black money makers. But in this case, being like black people making money legally, preferably, and in business and that kind of thing. Yeah, I know some people say like get a job and things like that, a bit bossy, but fair enough. I can see where they're coming from. But if there's no jobs there, then maybe you create your own. You make your own jobs by working at a business. Unfortunately, you still have to work hard. Like sometimes I wonder why people would quit a job and work a business where you apparently have to work even more hours. But I suppose at least it's something that you own, or at least feel part of, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think. But yeah, maybe they could find easy ways to run a business. Maybe if they work together, they could make it easier for themselves. Number 18, talking about blacklisted, the black market, black money makers, black hashtag please buy black, and hashtag please bank black, and some others. But I was thinking like they could have a chain process, so by networking together. So for instance, I was thinking from a supply chain is what I'm trying to say, I guess. I think is a term I'm looking for. So if there's a black-owned cafe, they could get their suppliers, like black-owned coffee companies, tea companies, black-owned bread makers and whatnot, to and whatever else they sell, they could get from black suppliers, so as often as possible. So that cafe would support other black-owned businesses and that kind of thing. But some say when black people own businesses, they feel that other black people should, in America at least, that they, and maybe in Britain as well, like that other people should owe them because they're black owned, and maybe they need to learn like about making sure they are competitive on price and they do treat their customers well and don't take them for granted. As ever, I'd love to know whether you agree with me on that one or not. Again, please feel free to disagree if you like. Number 19. So maybe there's a lot of things to learn about that, and I'm prepared to listen to alternative viewpoints. I hope to talk about like microing and other ideas I have in the future. M.O.P. M.O.P. Team or trademark, as I put it, team or brand, which I hope will be, which is stands for the micro operating programmer or micro operating processor, which is an idea of mine to get people, especially from Africa and maybe the black diaspora, working together in tech, building a black tech network, a programming language or software development or whatever that could be like the black community's version of Microsoft or whatever, just like Microsoft DOS or whatever, disk operating system. But it would probably do even more than that, like keep computers safe, protect against viruses, and do loads of great stuff, and connect black people from Africa together, especially, and around the world maybe, to create programming languages and software and all sorts of different things like that. Just a quirky little idea I came up with. I know I'm an ideas person, I do struggle to put things into practice, and I don't have a hard-working bone in my body, but I wonder if they could make it easier, like working together, what they say, many hands make light work, and help me to get to the point of offering advice on how to get to the point more quickly, which I do struggle with. I know people say you should make your video shorter and get to the point, but it would be good if they told me how, I guess. Like someone said to me about improving my punctuation, and I said maybe I should use Grammarly, and they typed up, you should listen to me, but I was like, but you haven't given me any actual how to do it, how 2 steps. You just said improve your punctuation policy. Someone says how. I'm probably lost case or whatever, but there was something else I was going to say, and it's really annoying, I've forgotten. But yeah, I'd be excited about the idea about, I don't want to get too excited, but the disk operating system, and changing the perception of Nigeria and Somalia and places like that by helping them to tackle piracy and cybercrime rather than be what they're known for. Because obviously there's a reputation for Nigeria being involved in scams and kidnapping and things like that. Maybe they could look at like online security to prevent kidnappings and prevent cybercrime and piracy and that kind of thing. But the whole of the African continent as well. I think of those 2 countries because they have a bad rep. But they could show what Africa can do when they work together, and maybe big tech companies like Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, and others could hopefully invest billions into Africa. I also hope Asian countries like India with the IIT could make the African Institute of Tech, but I hope to come to that in more detail ASAP. Maybe that's something I'll cover more next year in October or whatever. And number 20, supporting what I call METS, which is STEM backwards, I think. So maths, engineering, tech, and science. Although I add with the E, I add entrepreneurship and English, because I suppose if they communicate with one language, they can communicate all around the world. So even though I'm not that patriotic, I think it'd be cool if everyone spoke English because it'd be a lot easier to communicate. But a disk operating system could mean they can communicate with each other, and make those languages together, and approximately 1 billion people also working together in Africa on one common goal, and maybe even develop their own languages online, where they can communicate with each other and share ideas, even top secret ideas. It could be a way to keep ideas top secret, because people wouldn't be able to, outside of Africa, maybe wouldn't necessarily know that language as an idea. I'm sure there's something else I was going to say, which is really annoying because I've forgotten. But yeah, learning about customer service. Oh, I think one thing I was going to say is, I think that's what I was going to say. I was thinking about saying point number 18 or 19, but I forgot to say point number 19. But and it'd be cool to see what younger and older people could have from each other. And I was thinking like how I talk about going against the grain, going against the status quo, challenging the status quo. And when people say respect your elders, that's my least favourite saying, but I won't go into too much detail on that. What I was going to say is about, let's say a company owns a Nigerian restaurant or takeaway, or restaurant, takeaway, cafe, or whatever it might be. I'm thinking about an eatery or whatever, or even like a Nigerian owned superstore, small superstore or whatever, which they sometimes own in Europe. I think they should open it not just to black customers, but to everyone. I mean, someone's actually commented the mistake black owned businesses make is like saying we're black owned, whereas other companies like white or Asian might not say that, but most of the time. But maybe they do a little bit, but they might not specify it. But yeah, making it open for everyone. So like they could say, why not sample Nigerian food if you've never tried it? So they can open it up to people who are not just Nigerian or not just even just black, but to everyone, not literally, but to people of all different backgrounds, I suppose. I think when they say everyone, that's what they mean. But anyway, peace and love, and I'm out.